When Rome was just starting out as a fledgling democracy, there were two types of people. There were, on the one hand, the plebs, the commoners, you and me. There was, on the other hand, the patricians. Now, there weren't as many of them, but they had all the political power, all the economic power, and all the land. So, these patricians were the only ones who were allowed to be senators, for example, which really gave them all the power and all the control. And it's only a matter of time until this causes a disaster. But for now, these two people are working and living together, and we're going to represent that by having them mixed one after the other. So red and then black, patrician and plebeian, red and black. But, as I said, this can't last forever, and in 495 BC, disaster strikes. The plebs are so overwhelmed with the pressures of the debts from the ruling class that they decide enough is enough. The senators aren't doing anything. It's in their interest not to do anything. There's no debt relief, no debt reform. And so these people who had been together for hundreds of years, these people who were living and growing together, decide that they need to separate. And so we end up with, on the one hand, the Senate, and on the other hand, the plebs who fled from Rome to the Sacred Mount. And the result of this is that the Senate agrees to establish the tribunes of the plebs, champions in the Senate for the people. And these tribunes could veto the Senate's decisions, they could introduce new laws. This was a real turning point. So let it never be said that unions don't work. So, a bit more harmony, surely things are going to go well, and they do for a little while. And as they do, the population grows, and we're going to represent this by adding a card for the plebs and a card for the senators. Because it's been 50 years since the last secession, and no one can think of another secession coming forward. But never say never. You see, the senators. And we have, on the one hand, senators, on the other hand, the plebs, and again, we're just going to mix them together, one on one, because everything's peaceful and happy, everyone's learned to live together once more. Now, what happens is the Senate elects 10 men, the decemvirs, to start their laws, to write all their laws for them. And these decemvirs decide actually they quite like being powerful, and they refuse to give up their power. So what can be done? Nothing apparently, and they start abusing this power. They rob, they pillage, they rape, and the plebs, they've had enough. And once more, we end up with a division. On the one hand, we have the senators who stay in the city, supporting the decemvirs over here. On the other hand, we have the plebs who once more flee from the city and go to the Sacred Mount. And once more, the plebs get their way. The decemvirs have their power removed, and peace reigns again. Happy days, the people are back together. But how long can this last? Hopefully a long time, right? So, we're gonna mix the people together, because surely this time we'll have a long-lasting peace. So we're gonna do it face up, because surely nothing can breach the lovely peace we've got going for us right now. Well, let me tell you, it's not long. Literally the next year, we get more issues. You see, the Senate introduces a bill to stop marriage between the senatorial class and the plebs. They don't want social climbers. And again, this outrages the plebs. So once more, they remove themselves from the city. And on the one hand, we have the senators who stay in the city. Right? The senators who have caused this problem. And on the other hand, we have the plebs who have removed themselves from the city. So, plebs on one hand, senators on the other. How can they resolve this? Again, another division leads to another coming together, because the law is repealed, they're allowed to intermarry, and as an added bonus, they change the law so that actually anyone can become a senator. Isn't that wonderful? And at last, we have, from this chaos, from these two separate groups, a mixing, where we can have senator and pleb together. and hopefully that will last a very, very long time. Or about 5 minutes. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but this was a version of oil and water, which is a really classic trick. There's another story I think which would work well with it, so I may do this again soon. But if you think of any other historical stories that would work really well as a magic trick, then do let me know, because I am running out of ideas. So some help would be great.